Far-right hopes to make history as France votes in high-stakes poll. Now, this is talking about Front National and everything in France, Marine Le Pen's party. Oh, far-right, they're not. They're not. In fact, about 20, 30 years ago, they would have been considered a completely normal right-wing party. It's just all of our right-wing parties in the West now, especially, are all essentially left. They're just not as far left as the other parties. So they're just a normal right-wing party. That's it. With opinions of that 30 years ago would be considered completely fucking normal. France is voting in a parliamentary election that could make history, with the far right closer to power than it has ever been in modern times. The National Rally RN of Marine Le Pen and Jordan Bardella is well ahead in the polls. 3 weeks to the day since they won the European elections, President Emmanuel Macron reacted immediately by calling a national vote and stunning his country. Don't know why he did that. There's a big theory. And there's a theory going around, which I do kind of actually believe, I think it actually might be true, where everything's going to shit. There's a cost of living crisis. There's an immigration crisis. Everything's fucked up. Governments are running out of money. So what's happening is these parties see the storm coming and they're like, well, let's just call an election and we can let the other guys deal with the downfall. And I believe that. I think that might be the case. The Tories have absolutely buggered everything up. Absolutely buggered everything up. They know that sword of Damocles is going to fall down, and they're like, oh, let's just change the guy standing under it for when it falls. And then 8 years from now, we'll come in as the great saviours that are going to save the nation. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what's going to happen. I have no idea. By midday, more than a quarter of France's 49 million voters had cast their ballot, more than 7 points up on the last election, and confirming the high turnout widely expected in such a pivotal election. This is a two-round election, and most of the National Assembly's 577 seats will not be decided until the second round runoff vote next Sunday. The campaign only lasted 20 days, and that also benefited RN, which quickly refined its existing promises on immigration, crime and insecurity, as well as tax cuts to tackle the cost of living crisis. Because I don't know how much you know about this, but France has had a very, very, very serious problem with illegal migrants committing crimes and rapes and robberies and burglaries. Pretty much every single day there's some new horrible video that's came out of France of someone being hacked with a machete in broad daylight in Paris, and basically parts of Paris, which is a pretty city, as I've been, it's actually a very beautiful city. Most parts. Some parts are bad, but like most parts is a very, very beautiful city. But now it's all just covered in mattresses and tents, and it looks like LA and San Francisco, and it's just fucked, and it's because of illegal migrants, and people are starting to get very, very sick of it. So that's why basically when things get that bad, people's votes will reflect that. If there are very serious problems where you're telling people, no, we're not going to fix it, you're just racist, the next election's going to reflect that, because the point of politicians is to solve the problems of the common man. That's the point of government. We govern the country to make sure it works better. However, many political parties that are in power right now govern the country for their own benefit, and the people can just fuck off and shut up. They're nothing but stupid racists. And so these parties are going to get voted out of power. At least I think they will. I don't believe in democracy. I don't think it works. The campaign only lasted 20 days. Oh, wait, just done that. Jordan Bardella wants to be RN's first Prime Minister, and his party is confident of winning dozens of constituencies outright in the first round. He says he will only take the job if the party secures an absolute parliamentary majority of 289 seats. The alternative would be a hung parliament and stalemate. Exit polls will come out with polls close in the big cities at 8 p.m, and a full picture of how France has voted will be clear by the end of Sunday evening. National Rally's opponents will have to decide who to back in runoff battles across France. What's wrong with me, man? In a bid to ensure that absolute majority does not happen, because obviously if they've got an absolute majority, then whatever they want to vote on will just go through. And I hope it works. If the polls are right, many of the runoffs will pit the National Rally against a hastily cobbled together left-wing alliance called New Popular Front. Which is strange, because if you're having to form a coalition then against the other big majority, then by definition you're not popular. But anyway, which believes it could even win the election. But because of the expected high turnout, 3 parties could qualify for these second round battles in as many as 250 constituencies, according to Bryce Teinturier of Ipsos Polling Institute. In previous elections, parties from across the spectrum have united to keep the far right out. That raises the question of whether one of the candidates will drop out in those triangular races to unify the anti-RN vote. RN's leaders have worked hard for years to shed their extremist image, alongside policies for giving French citizens national preference for jobs and housing. They want to cut VAT on energy and allow under 30s to escape income tax. Based. I don't know what national preference does that mean. Citizens, French citizens would get preference for jobs and housing. I'm fine with that. However, I do think it should be down to the decision of the businesses themselves. In Frankenville, north of Paris, a teacher called Agnes complains about the breakdown of discipline in French schools and likes Jordan Bardella's plans for a big bang in authority in education. I'll either vote right or far right. I like Bardella's charisma, she says. She also has no problem with RN's plans to abolish droit du sol, a hon baguette. The right to automatic French citizenship for children born to foreign parents if those children have spent 5 years in France. Yeah, get rid of that. From the ages of 11 to 18, when they are entitled to apply for French citizenship. But another teacher called Mathieu said after voting in the town of Pontault-Combault, great name, to the east of the capital, that Mr. Bardella had made lots of promises for education without saying how he would pay for them. President Macron's Ensemble alliance is widely expected to hemorrhage seats, and Gabriel Attal's days as Prime Minister appear numbered, even though polls suggest he remains the most popular politician in France. The Macron era is over, Francois Hollande declared ahead of the vote. Mr. Hollande, I think it's Hollande, I don't know. I don't try and pronounce foreign words properly, who cares? The former French president, who was Mr. Macron's boss and mentor, is standing for parliament again as a new Popular Front candidate. However, even Macron allies are angry with his snap election gamble. France was not due another election for 3 more years, and it had far better ways of spending the summer than going through an abbreviated and intense election campaign. All of France has been gearing up for the Paris Olympics, which starts on 26th of July. Metro stations like Concorde have been shut, and restrictions are in place close to any of the game sites. The police and military were already stretched, and the Interior Minister has warned of potential violence after the second round. Mr. Macron is set to meet his Prime Minister and other members of the government on Monday to decide their next move. Until now, their mantra has been nee, neither back RN nor the left-wing New Popular Front in the second round, because of the involvement of France Unbowed, which is condemned by opponents as far left, and some of its members have been accused of anti-Semitism. I wonder, far left anti-Semitism. I wonder what some of those people have been saying. President Macron has said only his Ensemble alliance has the power to block both the extreme right and the extreme left. I guess the extreme left have outlived their usefulness now. He says the far right categorises people by their religion or origin, while the left judges them by the community they belong to. Guess what these are? These are communities. People actually form communities around these very things. You're dumb. Last week, on a hot evening in Meaux, east of Paris, one of LFI's most senior figures, Mathilde Panot, told supporters they were the only focus of resistance remaining to the rise of the far right, accusing the Macron alliance of opening the gates of power to RN. We're not extreme. What is extreme is Mr. Macron's extreme liberalism, which has brought about the rise of the extreme right, she told the BBC. Well, we all know what type of extreme leftist she is. The New Popular Front also includes more moderate parties, including the Socialists and the Greens. Socialism's not moderate, Jesus Christ. Like stealing people's property from them even after they earn it. That's extreme. That's not moderate at all. Whose leader, Marie Tondelier, has called for a unified stance to stop Mr. Bardella becoming Prime Minister. Some of France's best-known young stars have urged voters to steer clear of the extremes, from NBA sensation Victor Wembanyama, good French name, and football captain Kylian Mbappe, to YouTube influencer Squeezie. I have no idea who any of these people are. But the divisions between the parties are deep and the time extremely short for any concerted action to keep RN at bay. I worry for our country, said Auriel outside a market in Les Plessis Bouchard, to the north of Paris. She is unimpressed by the nationalist policies RN has. Patriotism isn't nationalism, it's not the same. You're dumb. The French can't really do politics. They can do riots. The French can do a fucking riot, but they're not really good at politics. But yeah, again, this is something that we're seeing all over the place now. Like, loads of people are even flocking to reform over here. Things got that bad. You didn't listen to the problems of the common man for a very, very long time. People get sick of it, and now you're being voted out. Everyone is being affected by your bad decisions, which you are only making to fill your own pockets. Because at the end of the day, that's all politicians care about. They just go in there as a little custodian, do their 4 years, fill their pockets up as much as they can, fuck off at the end of it, and the country is worse off as a result. And then the next guy comes in and does the same thing, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. If anyone doesn't like it, shut up, you're racist. And then one day, for no reason whatsoever, Marine Le Pen was voted into power.